top stories tonight in Y News. As partial and unofficial counts were released, the Commission on Elections is expecting to exceed the voter turnout it garnered back in the May 2016 elections. The Commission on Elections and Bank affirmed the dismissal of 4 cases against the presidential campaign of former Senator Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Re-electionists dominated the election race in the National Capital Region. And the Philippine National Police called for sobriety amid planned rallies to protest the outcome of the national and local elections. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Tuesday, the 10th of May, 2022. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am William Theo. We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. First in the news, the Commission on Elections expect the voter turnout this 2022 national and local elections may exceed the 2016 polls. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
Partial voter turnout of the 2022 national and local elections is at 80.38%. This is higher compared to the total voter turnout last 2016 and even 2019 polls. The Commission on Elections observed that there are more Filipino voters eager to cast their votes during presidential elections. This despite the COVID-19 threat.
In 2016, almost 81%. In 2019 is 70% something, and ngayon we are now on 80.38. So we're expecting similar voting turnout or much higher than the 2016. Alam naman natin kapag presidential elections talagang maraming interesado bumoto.
Nawala yung worst years namin. Remember, nung 2016, wala po tayong restrictions niyan. Ngayon po nasa pandemic and still the Filipino people got out of their homes and voted. So kami po ay nagagalak dito sa turnout na to.
The poll body also cited that the 2022 polls is the fastest when it comes to the transmission of election returns from vote counting machines. COMELEC said they have well prepared for these national and local elections.
Mabilis talaga yung transmission natin because yung transmission mode kasi natin, pinag-aralan natin ng husto during after the 2019 elections. We enhanced the terms of reference of our transmission. Binago natin, dinagdag natin yung mga kulang, like for example, yung transmission from the transparency going to the media server, kaya hindi tayo nabulunan. And then, yung technology natin, since 2016, 2019, and 2022, may bagong technology na rin for the transmission.
With the fast transmission of election returns, COMELEC said the proclamation of elected senators may occur this week.
The basis of proclamation of our senators and even party list is the transmitted result from PBOC or CBOC to the NBOC. Kapag nakapag-transmit na sila, then we can proclaim the winning senators and party list. Hopefully, this week, kung kakayanin, magpo-proclaim na tayo.
Meanwhile, the COMELEC reports 915 vote counting machines and 469 SD cards were defective during the elections. But the poll body stressed it is less than 1% of the total 106,174 clustered precincts.
Meron talaga tayong inaasahang aberya. But what is important, kagaya ng sinabi ko, hindi siya significant and hindi siya makaka-apekto ng ating resulta sa election.
Meanwhile, the National Board of Canvassers has resumed the canvassing tonight at 7 p.m. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Presidential frontrunner Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. is now cleared from his 3 disqualification cases and 1 cancellation case before the COMELEC and Bank. Dante Amento tells us why.
In a 15-page resolution released by the Commission on Elections this morning, the COMELEC and Bank affirms the resolution penned by Commissioner Amy Ferolino, which was promulgated last February 10, to dismiss the 3 consolidated disqualification case against Ferdinand Marcos Jr. The Bank says the petitioners failed to raise new matters or issues that would warrant the reversal of the assailed resolution. Thus, the Bank ruled to deny motions for reconsideration filed by Akbayan et al., Ilagan et al., and Abubakar Mangelen. In a separate resolution, the Bank also dismissed with finality a cancellation case filed by Buenafe et al. Against BBM for false ground of assertion. In a statement, Akbayan stresses the alleged setback does not discourage them. They will also appeal to the Supreme Court to pursue the case to its logical and just conclusion. The Commission has disclosed that the petitioners have 30 days to file an appeal before the Supreme Court.
The parties or the petitioner for this matter, because the cases were already dismissed by the Commission and Bank, may file a petition for certiorari before the Supreme Court within 30 days from today. That is upon receipt of the decision pursuant to Section 64 of the Rules of Court, and pursuant also to the COMELEC Rules of Procedure under 9523.
Meanwhile, Marcos' spokesperson Attorney Vic Rodriguez says the unanimous decision of the Bank has proven that no amount of undue political pressure can weaken the Commission to be on the side of truth and justice. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Former Senator Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. continues to lead in the 2022 presidential race in the partial and unofficial count of the Commission on Elections. With more than 97% votes counted, Marcos got more than 30 million votes, while his closest rival, outgoing Vice President Leni Robredo, garnered 14.7 million votes. Coming in third is Senator Manny Pacquiao with 3.6 million votes, followed by Manila City Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Domagoso with 1.8 million votes. Lacson trails in 5th place with only over 880,000 votes. Meanwhile, partial and unofficial results show Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio is also leading the race for the vice presidency. Meanwhile, supporters of former Senator Bongbong Marcos gather in front of the BBM headquarters in EDSA Boni as the front-runner leads the partial and unofficial counts for the presidential race. Janice Inhente reports.
As presidential candidate Bongbong Marcos leads the presidential race with over 30 million votes, far from other candidates' votes, BBM supporters gathered in front of BBM headquarters in Mandaluyong City to express congratulations to BBM for being top on the race, celebrating its claimed clear victory even if there's no official results yet.
Andito ako to show my support. Actually, alas 5, mga 5:15 in the morning, nandito na ako. Ang kailangan na lang pagkakaisa, tanggapin na lang kung ano ang desisyon ng majority. No? Hindi natin kalaban ang kung sino man. Bumoto ng tao, lumabas na ang majority na kagustuhan ng mga Pilipino.
Mga 5 o'clock nandito na ako para makisaya din. Sa totoo lang, hindi na mahahabol yan eh. Kasi aminin natin sa hindi, history yan eh. Kasi gusto ng mga tao na ma-experience yung Marcos presidency.
The BBM-Sara tandem remains the top one in the race. However, in a video statement released by the BBM camp this morning, Marcos said that as long as there is no official results from the COMELEC, it is not yet considered a win for their camp. Marcos, however, expressed gratitude for those who supported him and hopes for the unity of Filipinos, whatever the result of the elections.
To all of those who have been with us in this long and sometimes very difficult journey for the last 6 months, I want to thank you for all that you have done. Hindi pa tapos ang bilangan. Marami nang nagsasabi na tapos na, pero hindi pa talaga. Antayin natin hanggang talagang maliwanag na maliwanag, mag 100% ng pagbilang. hanggat tayo ay mag-celebrate o mag-isip na tapos na. Kung tayo ay pala rin, ay aasahan ko na yung inyong tulong ay hindi magsawa, ang inyong tiwala ay hindi magsawa. At dahil ay marami po tayong gagawin dito sa ating hinaharap.
Janice Enhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Some presidential and vice presidential candidates already conceded in the 2022 elections. A couple of them, however, did not directly say so but expressed their intention in move on from the race. Asher Cadapan Jr. explains why.
The partial vote count of the Commission on Elections shows apparent result for several candidates of the 2022 national and local elections. This is the same case with the presidential and vice presidential race. Mayor Isko Moreno de Bagoso is one of the candidates who explains this as he places forth in the presidential bid.
Nakinikinita na natin, malapit na rin naman yan maging opisyal, no, na meron na pong pinili ang taong bayan, ang bawat Pilipino. Sa kasalukuyan po ay nais kong batiin si dating Senador Ferdinand Marcos sa kanyang pangunguna at patuloy na pangunguna, and I hope it can be official soon at matapos na at mapapanatag na ang lahat.
The Manila City Mayor also appeals to the public to respect and support the government. Dumagoso emphasized the real enemy of the citizens is poverty.
Tayo na mga mamamayan ay may responsibilidad na suportahan, tumulong at makiisa sa mga gawain, layunin ng susunod na administrasyon. Huwag tayo, ako'y nananawagan, huwag tayo makikibahagi sa anumang gulo, anumang alingas-ngas, o anumang hindi pagkakasunduan. We have to give chance to the new leadership.
Meanwhile, presidential aspirant Senator Panfilo Lacson did not mention conceding in the elections after being placed fifth in the race based on the partial vote count of the COMELEC. Senator Ping instead shares his plans of going home and spend time with his family after the lengthy service he dedicated to the public. Vice presidential candidate Senator Tito Soto III, on the other hand, openly conceded in the vice presidential race. In his official statement, Soto mentioned that despite presenting an alternative for a better system in governance, the people have made their choice and that he accepts the will of the people. Despite this, the senator congratulates the next president and vice president of the country. Leody de Guzman also concedes in his bid for presidency as he placed 8th in the race. As for Cal Leody, he leaves the decision to the citizens if they really choose other candidates but expects no progress from the leading candidates.
Akong masasabi sa kanila kasi nasubukan natin yung lahat ng ganyang klase ng presidente at vice president na nanggaling sa mga pamilya ng dynasty, mga trapo, mga bilyonaryo, na mga gumastos. Walang nangyari. Ang pinaglingkuran ng mga yan ay mga mayayaman din, mga nasa tuktok ng lipunan natin. Mula kay Marcos, kay Cory, lahat-lahat, di ba? Wala naman na bago eh. Kaya mahirap umasa o magpaabot na kung ano yung dapat gawin.
Asher Cadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippine National Police called for sobriety amid planned rallies to protest the outcome of the national and local elections. Leia Ilagan has the story.
The Philippine National Police is ready for any eventualities that may occur following the recent national and local elections. PNP Officer-in-Charge Police Lieutenant General Vicente Danao Jr. said their security plan is until the next president is proclaimed. Danao adds the PNP will respect the right of the people to air their grievances for as long as it would not resort to violence and destruction of properties.
We have our own freedom parks. Pwede po kayong magmura doon ng 1 taon, wala pong bawal dyan. As long as you will not hamper the traffic. If you start hurting people and start throwing stones to any properties, destroying government properties as well, or any property for that matter, that's the start na pupunta po ang pulis dyan sa inyo.
The PNP officer in charge appeals to politicians and their supporters to accept and respect the election result.
So that natalo yung mga kanilang kandidato, siguro nakikiusap po ako na kung pwede, medyo magpakahinahon po tayo. Okay? So, pagbigyan po natin yung resulta ng ating boto.
Several groups allegedly planned to conduct rallies to protest if their candidates will lose in the elections. The now earlier said the PNP is always ready to thwart any destabilization efforts. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
For those watching our live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. Presidential candidate Vice President Leni Robredo expresses gratitude to all the supporters who stuck with her during the campaign. This as she also vows supporters to get to the bottom of the reported irregularities during the election day. Harleen Delgado will tell us why.
Presidential candidate Vice President Leni Robredo wants to look into the reported alleged irregularities that happened during the May 9 elections. These include incidents of malfunctioning vote counting machines and long hours of waiting time of voters for casting votes. According to Robredo, they will talk to experts to study the reported incidents and the findings will be made public. Earlier in a media briefing, Robredo calls it concerning and reminded the public to report and document the incidents. Meanwhile, Robredo thanked her supporters for joining her in her presidential race journey and campaign. This as her closest rival, Bongbong Marcos, leads the partial and unofficial results of the Commission on Elections.
Una sa lahat, hayaan niyo ako magpasalamat. Sa lahat ng bumoto, sa lahat ng nangumbinse sa kanilang mga pamilya, kaibigan, kakilala, kahit na mga di kakilala, sa iba't ibang paraan. Sa mga nagtaya ng karera at pangalan sa pagbabahagi ng ating mensahe. Alam kong napakaraming pagkakataon na napagod kayo, pero lagi, nairaos ninyo ang susunod na hakbang. Ginawa ko ang lahat ng makakaya. Tinumbasan ninyo ito, minsan higit pa. Walang dadaig sa kapayapaang dala ng katotohanan ito.
The Vice President calls on her supporters to continue living the advocacy formed from the People's Campaign and to join her in her next battles.
Wala akong planong abandonahin ang mga bagay na habang buhay ko nang ipinaglalaban. Tuloy ang trabaho ko para iangat ang buhay ng mga nasa laylayan. Tinatawag ko kayong samahan ako dito at sa iba pang mga laban. Kaya huwag kayong bibitaw. Panatilihing aktibo ang mga komunidad. Patuloy na tumindig. Igiit ang katotohanan. Matagal binuo ang mga istruktura ng kasinungalingan. May panahon at pagkakataon tayo ngayong labanan at baklasin ito.
This afternoon, Robredo attended a Thanksgiving Mass at the Naga Metropolitan Church together with daughters Aika and Trisha. An event will be held in Metro Manila on Friday to give thanks to the supporters of the Robredo Pangilinan who fought with them till the end. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Re-electionists still dominate the mayoralty race in Metro Manila's 16 cities and 1 municipality. JP Nunez will give us the details live. Yes, JP, go ahead.
William, several local candidates in Metro Manila were proclaimed by the Board of Canvassers earlier today. In Quezon City, incumbent Mayor Joy Belmonte won against his rival, Anak Kalusugan Party List Representative Mike Defensor. Her running mate and incumbent Vice Mayor Gian Soto also won for another term. In Valenzuela City, Congressman Wes Gatchalian was successful to switch position with his brother, incumbent Mayor Rex Gatchalian. His running mate Lori Natividad Borja also won for the position of Vice Mayor. In Malabon City, former Vice Mayor Jeannie Sandoval toppled the almost two-decade term of the Oreta clan after winning against Councilor Enzo Oreta with more than 1,000 votes. In Navotas City, Mayor Toby Tiangco's brother John Ray Tiangco was elected to succeed his term in mayoral position. In Caloocan City, the rival of Along Malapitan, former Congressman Egay Erice, conceded for the local chief executive position before the proclamation. In the city of Manila, incumbent Vice Mayor Hani Lacuna Pangan won the mayoral position together with her running mate Yul Servo. Lacuna Pangan will be the first woman elected as mayor of the nation's capital. Mayor Vico Soto in Pasig City also won for another term as the local chief executive along with his running mate, former basketball player Dodot Jaworski. In Taguig City, 2nd District Representative Lani Cayetano won the mayoral race, while in Parañaque City, Eric Olivares, the brother of Mayor Edwin Olivares, will succeed his term. In Mandaluyong City, Benjamin Abalos Sr. won the race for mayoral position. In Muntinlupa City, former Congressman Rufi Biazon was proclaimed as the next mayor of the city. Meanwhile, some re-electionists were successful to extend their terms. Among them are Marikina City Mayor Marcy Teodoro for his second term, as well as San Juan City Mayor Francis Zamora and Pasay City Mayor Emmy Calixto Rubiano, while Las Piñas City Mayor Imelda Aguilar, Makati City Mayor Abby Binay, and Pateros Mayor Miguel Ike Ponce won for their last term. William, of the 16 cities and 1 municipality in Metro Manila, 8 of the elected mayors came from a political dynasty, while 7 of them were entrusted by the electorate for another term. That is our latest live. Back to you, William.
Yes, thank you, JP Nunez, reporting live from Quezon City. Actor Robin Padilla leads the top 12 senatorial race. Other candidates, meanwhile, accepted the partial and unofficial results and concede in the race. Eileen Cerudo reports.
Actor Robin Padilla expressed his gratitude for the support he received during the 2022 national and local elections. In a video, Padilla vowed to visit areas he was not able to visit during his campaign. The senatorial candidate said he is open to listen to the problems faced by the people, especially in far-flung areas.
At yun po yung dadalhin natin sa Senado kung ano po yung mga sinasabi nila, yung mga hinaing nila. Ihikayatin po natin yung mga iba po nating mga kasama na makababa po sa inyo para madinig din po nila yung mga hinaing nila, katulad po ng hanggang ngayon wala pa kayong kuryente, wala kayong tubig.
Aside from Robin Padilla, making it to the top 12 are Loren Lagarda, Rafi Tulfo, Sherwin Gatchalian, Cheese Escudero, Mark Villar, Alan Cayetano, Mig Zubiri, Joel Villanueva, Risa Ontiveros, and Jingoy Estrada. The top 13 to 15 senatorial candidates are Jojo Binay, Herbert Bautista, and Gibot Teodoro. Sherwin Gatchalian is grateful for his supporters this election. He also stressed to continue the fight for quality education, especially amid the resumption of face-to-face classes. Joel Villanueva also sent his thanks after making it to the top 12. In his Twitter post, Chel Jokno sent his support to the winning candidates, and he thanked his supporters as well as volunteers who helped him in his campaign. He also called on not to lose hope and love for the country. He assures to continue helping and will maintain vigilance for the country's future. According to Carbalita, he will return to his family and continue his advocacy after the election. Former Agriculture Secretary Manny Peñol, meanwhile, has accepted the results but expressed his worry over the welfare of farmers. Eileen Cerudo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
A human rights group calls on presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos Jr. to declare an end to President Rodrigo Duterte's war on drugs. Rosalie Cos explains why.
Presidential candidate Bongbong Marcos Jr. maintains his lead in the presidential race. This is based on the partial and unofficial count from the data of the transparency server of the Commission on Elections. But even before the official and final result of the presidential election, the international group Human Rights Watch, or HRW, has called on Marcos Jr. According to Phil Robertson, Deputy Asia Director of HRW, once in office, Marcos Jr. should declare an end to the war on drugs that has resulted in the extrajudicial killing of thousands of Filipinos, as well as order the impartial investigation and appropriate prosecution of officials responsible for these unlawful killings. He should also take immediate and decisive action to improve the human rights situation in the Philippines. The group adds Marcos should publicly order the military, police, and other security forces to cease targeting activists, human rights defenders, and journalists for killing and other rights violations. Human Rights Watch also said BBM should fully cooperate with the International Criminal Court investigation into allegations of crimes against humanity against President Rodrigo Duterte and others. Marcos should also seek to drop the charges against Senator Leila de Lima and order her release from detention. Marcos' camp has yet to respond to this issue. But even before this, if elected, Marcos said he will direct the construction of regional drug rehabilitation centers. According to Marcos, the Duterte administration focused on the enforcement side of the illegal drug problem, and he believes it has done everything that should be done. Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And for the news abroad, Australia has approved another antiviral drug for those at risk of developing severe COVID-19, but many are still falling ill. Maeve Dog will tell us why live. Yes, Maeve?
Kath, Australia's health experts found that many patients eligible for the COVID-19 antiviral drugs are missing out from accessing early treatment. This is due to their lack of awareness about the drugs, according to Australian Medical Association Vice President Dr. Chris Moy. The latest antiviral drug, Paxlovid, was listed on May 1 this year on the Pharmaceutical Benefit Scheme, allowing local family doctors or nurses to prescribe it to eligible patients and be dispensed at community pharmacies. Paxlovid follows the release of the first drug, Molnupiravir, back in March. Vice President Bruce Willett of the Australian College of General Practitioners stated that these drugs are not a cure for COVID, but they do reduce the severity of its worst risks and increase the chances of at-risk people staying home. Patients in Australia who are confirmed COVID-19 positive with mild to moderate symptoms are eligible for the antiviral drugs if they meet a certain criteria and have certain risk factors, including those who are unvaccinated, obese, diabetic, suffer from cardiac and respiratory problems, and those with severe intellectual or physical disabilities. These individuals are urged to discuss with their general practitioners as soon as possible because of the short time frame that these drugs can work. Kath?
Thank you, Maeve Dog, for that report live from Australia. Russian President Vladimir Putin hailed Moscow's army fighting in Ukraine as he addressed the annual celebration of Victory Day parade in Russia. Ryuji Sasaki reports why live. Yes, Ryuji?
Kath, President Putin boosts the pride of the Kremlin, stating that they are fighting for the motherland and that there is no place in the world for executioners, killing squads, or Nazis. He made the speech at the recent military parade, or the Victory Parade, which is one of Russia's most significant holidays. The military parade has been increasingly used in recent years to encourage patriotism and pride in the Russian armed forces. Kremlin said a total of about 11,000 personnel and 131 pieces of military equipment took part in the parade on Red Square. Some of the soldiers in the parade had just returned from the front lines, according to Putin. There were no major political announcements made by Putin. However, there was a notable absence of Z symbols on Red Square, and the much-anticipated flypast was cancelled due to bad weather. Meanwhile, Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky said Ukraine would not let Russia appropriate victory in World War II, as Moscow marks the anniversary of the Soviet Union's defeat of Nazi Germany.
Пишаємось нашими предками, які разом з іншими народами у складі антигітлерівської коаліції перемогли нацизм. І ми нікому не дамо анексувати цю перемогу, не дамо її привласнити.
Back to you, Kath.
Thank you, Ryuji Sasaki, for that live report. The James Webb Space Telescope, launched last December, sent back the latest test pictures of a nearby satellite galaxy and showed promising results. Astronomers also expect to start the science observations from the Space Telescope in July. The $10 billion Webb has 18 mirror segments, and a single one is bigger and more powerful than NASA's previous infrared observatory, the Spitzer Space Telescope, which was launched in 2003. NASA has not revealed the identity of Webb's first official target. The newest space telescope is also considered the successor of the famous Hubble Space Telescope, which was launched in 1990 and is expected to finish its mission between 2030 to 2040. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I'm Kat Maraos, live from Bangkok, Thailand. Good evening.
And before we close, we will leave you with the word giving glory to God from the book of 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 12. It says, "For the eyes of the Lord are over the righteous, and his ears are open unto their prayers, but the face of the Lord is against them that do evil." And those are the reasons behind the news, May 10, 2022, reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.